Okay, Hubsters, how is everybody? Lovely to be in the lounge as always. It's a Friday afternoon. It's lockdown 2.0, which means we're all getting ready to do not a lot. But it doesn't matter because I've got my main man in the house. I've got Paul Schaffer, who is Managing Director of Plum Products. Paul, how are you? How are you, mate?
Very, very well. Yeah, we're prepared for a wonderful weekend of household busyness.
Really great to be talking to you. Thanks so much for giving me your time today. And what's really interesting about the theme that we want to focus on today is family business. So you are the MD of Plum Products. This is now a second generation business. Is that correct?
Second generation. Indeed,
second generation business. So it started by your parents. So before we get into that and what it's like to then take on the reins of a very successful family business and what that entails, and I guess what that means for the pressure of it and everything that, you know, I want to ask you, just tell us, Plum Products, what do you guys do?
We specialize in outdoor play equipment, trampolines, swing sets, scooters, basically anything that's going to get your kid off a screen. Outdoors, honest, authentic play is how I'd say it.
Lovely. Okay, and the fact you said that, I'm guessing, you know, I never like to say generalizing statements, but a lot of kids these days like to spend a lot of time indoors playing games. And you know, you made a big point of that, getting them outside, obviously very important, getting kids outside and in the outdoors, right?
Absolutely. For us, it's about, you know, it's the imagination side. You've got to connecting with the outdoors, making sure. I mean, a swing is it's a swing, and everyone it's an experience. We're selling an experience for children as they're growing up. It's not just a toy. I think from our side, it's that whole lifestyle.
Okay, awesome. Paul, you didn't go straight into the family business. My understanding is that you did your 10,000 hours training and qualifying as an accountant in the Big Smoke. What was that like? And I guess are you glad for the experience of having done that?
Yeah, it was one of those funny things where my parents were, I mean, what a typical thing for them to want me to do. They were like, they want you to be an accountant, they want you to follow the numbers. I was like, nah, I'm never going to do this ever. And then it's just embarrassing call when I was at university. I was like, you know what, actually, I think I'm going to do this tail between the legs, sort of smile and go, oh, yeah, I'm going to become an accountant. Hey, myself just sitting there going, yeah, told you so. So, but yeah, I went into the EY, did my 3 years there, qualified. Didn't enjoy every minute, but would I do it again? Absolutely 100%. And would I recommend doing it? Yeah, I think some of my best friends now are from that time.
And what is it about that experience itself, thinking about what it taught you? So I'm not talking about the friendship and all that sort of stuff, because, you know, I also went the same route, and a lot of my friends that I have today, you know, who I met training, because going through those brutal, horrible exams, you create some pretty strong bonds with people, don't you? But what was it actually about the job itself that you think has been so helpful for creating the kind of foundations for your life as an entrepreneur?
For me, it was about understanding how different businesses work. I asked to work on the smaller side of the business, which naturally is a much bigger business than we've got currently. But it was to see how the whole process. I've always been fascinated about how the process starts from the beginning to the end, and sort of understanding how it all connects. And I think looking at that and just being able to judge a business then based on the analytics, they sound really nerdy, but on how the different other numbers worked and what you could see behind them, and being able to take that skill now forward is probably the best thing that I learned from it, how to read the numbers and how to understand what impacted what.
Yeah. Okay. So the reason I wanted to start with that, Paul, is because, you know, getting into a training contract to then qualify, you know, that creates a lot of doors for you in life. So by the time you qualified, you had a lot of things that you could go and do. So what was it that therefore led you to decide, right, I'm going to take on the pressure cooker scenario of now taking your family business onto the next level? What was that moment that led you to do that?
I think the business was starting to go through a bit more of a transition phase, and we're starting to go more lifestyle and really concentrate on the brand side rather than maybe more. We've always been focused on product, but also looking at the brand and what was important within the brand. And we'd sort of picked a strategic direction that I was very much aligned to in the outdoor play. You know, beforehand we'd done the garden, a bit of sports, charcoal. We still do some historical charcoal, legacy charcoal deals, which I love. But we went down the play route, and I could really follow that side. And I think when I remember my dad speaking to him, and he's, we're having a conversation, he said, well, there's an FD position, do you want to do that at Plum? And I said, nah, not for me. I said there are better people to do that specific role for me, and I was interested in to get to the top. And I think we had a very honest conversation, and we said, you know what, actually, let's have a look at a plan to how you can get to that. So it was sort of we talked about it. We found a way that would sort of now allow me to sort of cover lots of different areas of the business, and eventually to sort of probably assess my work at the same time. So, you always have the nepotism side, but at the same time you've got to they also want to know it's the family business. You've got to trust. They got to trust me and know that what I'm going to do will benefit everybody.
Yeah. So how many years have you now been in the business? And I guess did you go straight in at MD? I mean, what?
No. So I've always been part of the sort of thing. You always talk about the kitchen table. It's always been. We'll start off every school holiday sorting screws, customer service, licking brochures. My tongue has a different coarseness now as a result of those hard yards. But it's I went in as a general manager, and then sort of became a commercial director after a year, and then 2 years commercial director, and then now been managing director from January last year.
Okay, and so how have you found that? How have you found that experience? I mean, to answer that, just go back to your parents are now living in Australia, is that right?
Yeah, they've lived there for the last 10 years now.
And they put a lot of blood and sweat into building the foundations, a great platform for this business. Did you feel that when you joined the business, especially when you became MD in January, you were like, whoa, the stakes are high now. I've got the keys. I can't let this go to shit.
Basically, the weight on my backside feeling a little bit tighter. It's I think it was one of those. I was by the time it came to that point, I was sort of itching. I was then itching to do it because I also felt like I could do it at that point. And yeah, I was still going to learn along the road. So I felt confident enough in what I could do then to go and do it. But absolutely, there's still. There's of course you feel the pressure, but also that's the pressure gives you that. For me, it drives me forward because it makes those decisions more interesting, harder but more interesting, because you then really got to trust yourself and really because you've also been given the trust to do that.
Yeah. And have you got brothers and sisters, Paul?
I have 2 sisters.
And are they in the business?
No, neither of them are in the business. One of my sisters was in the business. Just briefly when she came out of uni, and now she's now in the user experience. And my other sister had gone absolutely no Plum, almost a dirty word. Probably a bit harsh. She's probably hurt me for saying that. I think it's like she's a vet, and she's very successful in writing. She's a vet in New York, doing that. So it's but yeah, I think my sisters probably find it probably irritating. I think sometimes they tease me that I have to call my parents between snacks, like or mouthfuls or whatever it is, because we're obviously communicating so much about the business and what's going on.
So the business has grown, so correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure when we've had a quick chat before, it's 15 million turnover business.
Yeah.
So in terms of what has fueled that growth and the story to that, just can you give us some background in terms of how the business has taken those steps to become what is a very successful business, turning over millions of pounds and growing internationally, which we'll get to in a moment?
Yeah, I think one of the key things we've had as a business is we started off as a complete trader. My dad is buy and sell and can make money out of anything on those fronts. We've slowly, as we've gone, we've sort of moved. Like my dad, absolute sucker for the British summer. Everything we do was being started in barbecues, charcoal, garden products. I mean, I don't know what play equipment, outdoor play equipment. Not even where you can follow Christmas. We have to follow the hope that May bank holiday doesn't rain. But it's from that, and we've gone from that to actually following. You know what? We need a brand, and we need to follow that brand. And probably about 12 to 15 years ago, we said, you know what, we've got to have a brand now. Plum is going to be what we do. And from there, we've just grown our product range, really developed and built that sort of base values of like quality and play and excitement and innovation, all within the sphere that we're, the specialist sphere that we're in, because we do the sort of the harder end of toys. It's not little boxes that you can put into Amazon. It's 5, 6 items, carriers, logistics, storing it. It's yeah, we picked the hard side.
Yeah, and I said a moment ago, just for the end of that question about international expansion, you guys are now exporting to a number of other countries. Which countries are they?
We now go to 40 different countries, so probably about 5.
Single one.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot, but we basically started the international expansion about 5, 6 years ago. Realised there's the demand was there, and the brand awareness of what we've done for the marketing side was there internationally, and now we're seeing massive growth in Europe, the Middle East, America, Canada. It's very exciting. It's now we're picking up momentum.
You know, when you describe that the growth, so numerous different products, 40 plus countries that you're now trading in, does there come a point whereby do you still discuss key strategics, decisions with your parents, or are you at the point now you just go for it? I'm kind of interested in that family dynamic when it comes to actually making big decisions in the business.
It sort of works both ways. It's certain things I'll just go for, but at the same time, my parents have so much experience. We all, luckily, although we bring in different skills to it, we all think the same things. So I will always run by ideas by them, just because it's a fantastic sounding board. And then we agree that actually that is the right thing. It's just given how connected we all are these days, it's even though it's in Australia, it's just a very quick call. This is what we think to do. Let's do it.
Yeah, Paul, you've been fortunate, and we're obviously still in a very difficult time with everything that's happened with that word I hate saying, but I'll say it. So with everything that's happening with COVID, and you guys have been in a market selling a product that has actually, would you say, I guess, done well out of the current situation we find ourselves in? Is that true? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely fair to say. I think retail generally has been hard for the last couple of years, and actually a lot of areas, and it's become really hard. And in our sector, actually, yeah, it's worked. COVID's actually, as people spend more time at home, if you've got children, people want distractions. People don't want them on the screens all the time. They can't go to parks. People are buying a lot of those home improvements and also those items to keep kids busy, and our products are perfect for them.
And has it therefore presented challenges from the fact that you've obviously still maintained a really great order book? You've been having to therefore fulfill this fuel demand that you have. Have there been some inherent challenges that you've had to therefore go through over the past few months?
There have been many challenges. I wish it'd been all plain sailing, and I wish, and hindsight is such a wonderful thing to have. Although when you look at it with the unknown of what we went into, we probably would have done a lot of things similar. But I'd love to change quite a few things. I think it became what we massively underestimate is the impact of what you can do, and then of course the impact on your carrier network and the individual network and the pressures. Suddenly we're squeezing, everybody got squeezed. So it wasn't just us basing decisions saying, well, actually, this is what we think we can do. But then there were so many different variables pushing it, and then the announcements coming in all the time, which were changing, that actually we underestimated that side. So we've sort of caused a few problems that we've now rectified and improved, sort of building that. So we've pushed all our systems to basically the very brink of what they could do. And everybody in the team, partly why I love the Plum side is that, everybody in the team was either in the warehouse picking or on customer service. That's what we did. Everybody stopped everything else they were doing, customer service, and went and picking orders.
Wow. So it's therefore been a pretty full-on experience. It's been a tough but rewarding, but full-on experience, it sounds like.
Absolutely, it's been challenging, but as a result, I mean, I know for a lot of people it's gone busy, but for us, because it's been so busy, it's been for the team, it's gone very fast, which is also a very big positive, because you forget about what you can't then do, because you're only focusing on, I'm doing it all over again, 6 days a week, every day.
Yeah. So we spoke, it was only last week, wasn't it, when we were just, having a quick chat about what we were going to talk about today. And you mentioned that you are starting to do increased trade now in the US. Now, obviously, that's very current at the moment with everything that's happening with the weird and quite frankly, wonderfully bonkers election that's going on.
Very diplomatically put.
But what is it like to do business in America? And I ask that because I hear some really interesting things from people, and it does sound like it is different rules.
It's different rules. Especially with what we do. It's both incredibly exciting, and also you shit yourself. Like it's like the people you deal with we're dealing with there are some of the biggest companies in the world. So it's quite terrifying, but also awesome, because like the opportunity is there if we can crack it. So it's just sort of keeps everybody like almost on your edge of your seat, because you're like, because anything can happen.
Yeah, and Paul, is the information I've been given correct? My understanding is that we as Brits can be quite, we can sometimes underplay the situation, but in America they don't like that, right? You don't underplay it. You go big, you go for it. That's how you got to talk. Is that right? It
is exactly right. Exactly us. I mean, I'm part South African, so it's like it's slightly different. But the British side of it's probably why I'm a bit tamer than my dad, is that it's the British side. Of course, we take it. We don't like to be too full of ourselves. We sort of play down the opportunity. Oh, it's a nice opportunity. Don't worry about it. America is just like, are you the best? Yes, we're the best. Great. We want the best. We are the most innovative. We are these things, but we do it in a subtle storytelling way, not a bigger and brasher. And so it's quite interesting doing that, because that's what you have to be. You've got to. They're not interested if you're not the best.
Yeah. And has Brexit affected you guys? Because I guess it has, if all those countries, right?
Yeah, it has affected us. I mean, I'm really pleased that we still don't exactly know what's going to happen. It makes things always a bit of a challenge, but I think being smaller actually in this instance makes us more maneuverable and nimble. But for us, it did affect it, especially when the exchange rates came, of course, 4 years ago, and that hit, you suddenly just get smacked because everything becomes more expensive.
So Paul, as an entrepreneur, and obviously someone who's really enjoying the momentum and the success that you're having with this vision of all the things that you can do with the business, I'm just intrigued as to how your thought process around an exit changes, because obviously for many that is a really important part of the business and the strategy and the way you think. And does that differ when it's a family business and you're probably, I don't know, are you thinking, well, I want to leave this business for my kids, etc.? I'm just intrigued as to how it differs.
Yeah, it's a very interesting one that we've talked about and you talk about, because you always, and it's probably one of those things when it's family, you always go, maybe next year, but nobody really wants to. Everyone loves it so much. Everyone believes so in that Plum. It's Plum and Schaffer are, they are basically become the same, even though it absolutely should not be. And my wife would hit me for being like that, because it means you don't switch up on that. But is it part of me which absolutely would love the thought of having your kid involved in your business going forward? Absolutely, it's exciting to build on the legacy, and I think the opportunity to do something always just sits there, and you want that to work so much on that front.
Yeah. And on that family dynamic, with Christmas coming up, hopefully we can all get back together. Will it be a case of, there'll be a significant element of your time dedicated to talking with your parents about business, or have you learned the art of being able to just switch off and make certain discussions out of bounds when it comes to family time?
We are becoming better because I think partly because my sisters, you know, we try not to do it with my wife's here and my because otherwise it becomes all encompassing, because you'll have a conversation, you'll have a normal conversation about something else, and then somebody mentions something, oh, have you seen this, have you looked, oh, and it all becomes about Plum again. It's trying to find that sort of off switch front that it is quite hard. And I mean, I don't notice it, but I think my sisters will notice it far more, and we've become better at being noticeable, saying, you know what, we can't talk about it. This
really,
yeah, it doesn't work.
It's good there's a sort of off button though. That is a good thing. That's progress from what I hear with many people in this situation.
We talk a much better game than we do.
So, final question, Paul. In terms of the future now, I mean, from what you've already said, it looks like you've got so much going on, so many plates spinning, so many things that you want to do. What excites you most about where Plum Products could really go now?
For me, I think it's one of those things where there just feels like there's so much opportunity, which I think I'm fortunate to be in a situation now where that is possible. But you know, and I look at the Americas market and what, you know, we're not even scratching the surface on what we can do there. And internationally, we've had our first foray in it. We're starting to concentrate a bit more targeted approach rather than being a bit more scattered. And I'm really excited to see what can happen there, and also just growing our UK market and building that core strength in our home market.
Yeah, cool. Well, Paul, it's been really, really good to talk to you. You know, it's so exciting to hear of a British business that is flying the flag locally, but also, you know, carrying its brand abroad, and that is so great to hear. And huge congratulations to you and your family, and wish you all the success and everything moving forward. So thanks again for your time. It's been so good to talk to you, and wish you all the very best. So thank you.
No, thanks so much, John. I mean, absolutely fantastic.